thank you all for joining me today. My name is Yana, and I research consumers at Euromonitor, who they are, how they live, and what are their habits, attitudes, preferences, and behaviors. And of course, how this all leads to uncovering growth opportunities for businesses. And today I'm excited to talk to you about that and share some insights from our recently launched new edition of Global Consumer Types. We have 7 types there, but today I invite you to dive deeper into 3 largest ones: wellness enthusiasts, brand champions, and connected shoppers. And today I am extra lucky because I am joined by 3 leading experts in areas of wellness, loyalty, and digital consumer trends. Hello, ladies. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Anna. Great to be here. Thank you for having us. My name is Irina Barbalova, and I'm the global lead for health and beauty. I lead on the editorial insights and the commercial strategy across beauty and wellness, with specific interest and specialization in women's health.
Hi, Yana. My name is Nadezhda Popova, and I lead the loyalty offer at Euromonitor International. Thank you for the invitation.
My name is Michelle Evans, and I'm a global lead at Euromonitor. Specifically, I lead the content and engagement strategy for our retail industry coverage, as well as adjacent themes like the connected shoppers.
Thank you, ladies. Ila, you started it, so let's maybe start from wellness enthusiasts, shall we? By definition, these consumers proactively pursue literally everything that enhance their well-being, their physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, really wellness from this holistic perspective, wellness as a lifestyle. And as I learned from another panel, which I think was called Wellness is a Lifestyle, that is quite a shift from this traditional perception of health and wellness. So, Irina, how are consumer priorities shifting as they embrace this wellness as a lifestyle?
Well, wellness is certainly becoming kind of more embedded in mainstream lifestyles, but it is really how consumers are doing those prevention techniques that is changing, and how their knowledge around prevention methods and awareness of more the medical and science backing and the efficacy of products that is changing. So really a distinct new factor to self-care, I would say, is the pursuit of kind of smarter, quicker, more efficient ways to optimize health and appearance, and sometimes even adopting very invasive methods. We've heard of biohacking, for example, and various tools, which most often than not really have technology as a prerequisite. So some of the underlying factors there would be, we've seen huge digital adoption and technology advancements, and this is allowing for very much personalized, data-driven self-enhancement solutions, further precision in kind of health diagnostics and prevention, and also, more importantly, access to health as well. On the other side, we're also seeing huge amount of advancements in medical science and groundbreaking innovations in how certain diseases are being treated. And as you rightly pointed out, we are seeing that changing perception of attitudes towards health. So really, those priorities are increasingly, aligned with that of the mind as much, if not even higher than that of the body and the physical expressions of health. So in some of our health and nutrition surveys, we see respondents rating mental well-being, emotional health, feeling good, higher in importance than, for example, physical appearance or physical performance and absence of disease. So all these lifestyle, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual even components are becoming more intertwined, and as such, consumers are expecting that in products and services. And one final point in how those priorities are shifting is really that consumers are taking a stronger stance on gender and health equity. So they seek out products which are celebrating diversity, that stand for inclusivity, and that really address some of those disparities from an economic standpoint, from gender, health gaps, and really uncovering some of those previously taboo topics like women's health, like sexual wellness, such as mental health.
You talked about consumers' preferences and priorities shift. What about commercial prospects? Because undoubtedly that also creates a lot of opportunities for businesses. A lot of high potential investment spaces are emerging.
There's a lot of buzz around longevity concepts. So kind of improving the lifespan and the health span, supercharging health span, optimizing health span. It's not about living longer, but living better. So I guess when we think about that longevity spectrum, we have to understand consumers are on this spectrum and could adopt very back to basics and very sophisticated and very high-tech methods of optimizing health. And I think brands should consider that spectrum quite carefully because in price tiers, marketing engagement would be very, very different. And also when we consider that spectrum, it would have to kind of factor in the whole wellness ecosystem. So as we said, the nutritional, the mental, the emotional, the lifestyle and spiritual aspects of health, I would say in terms of prospects and those kind of next frontier spaces for brands, one would be the emotional aspect of health, right? So what I would like to call from function to emotion. So not just functional attributes, but emotional benefit expressions too. And this doesn't need come just in the form of products, services, formulations, ingredient mix, but also in kind of instilling emotional support. Secondly, we talked about efficacy and consumers becoming a lot more discerning about results. So it's really about adopting more kind of medical grade efficacy credentials and interventions for more highly personalized solutions. So a lot of that happens through tech integration, AI, and creates opportunities for greater precision in diagnostics. And of course, a natural progression to this would be beyond just one-off products and solutions. It would really be about tracking results, monitoring results, and achieving that consistency in the solution and proposition. So next frontier developments I see in tech and science and medical advances would really be a lot of brands using more and more methods of biotechnology, epigenetics research, cellular regeneration science. And we've seen that even from players within the beauty domain, L'Oreal, Beiersdorf, making some investments in kind of longevity startups and highly scientific biotech approaches. And finally, thirdly, one major opportunity is really women's health. And what this means is really to address and apply a female kind of centric lens to education, guidance, solutions, and ultimately closing and narrowing gender health gaps which currently exist. So opportunities around women's health manifest across multiple industries, finding ways to empower women to really manage, monitor, and lead their kind of wellness and hormonal journeys as well.
That's very interesting, actually. And first and foremost, from this diversity and inclusion point of view, because as you mentioned, empowerment in gender space, empowerment is really a powerful emotion that resonates with many overlooked population segments from different areas that truly deserve the attention. But even looking from this broader perspective, broader view from consumers' point of view, empowerment and particularly now co-creation is a powerful way for, especially for brands, to attract and retain consumer attention. And well, actually, that brings me to the second type I wanted to discuss today, brand champions. Those are consumers who, well, by definition, by the name, prefer branded goods over non-branded alternatives. They actually very actively engage with brands. They enjoy influencing brand innovation through engagements, comments, through suggestions, and they love participating in brand-related activities. And Nadia, this is a question to you. Might that be a new phase of loyalty?
Without a doubt, we have seen in the last couple of years that consumer preferences and behavior is shifting. And in turn, this is transforming how they engage with brands, or what are the channels, what are the platforms that they're using. And this is creating the importance of the so-called participatory experience as part of the loyalty programs. For example, as you've mentioned, participating in co-creation, and I remember Taco Bell inviting their members to participate in the redesign of their hot sauce packaging, for example, or participating as a consumer in the strategy development of your company, whether, for example, you should open a new outlet in a particular destination, or simply providing insight what kind of rewards you think as a brand should kind of address the needs of your members. And that ultimately is helping to form a genuine connection. Having a dialogue with your members, creating an inclusive brand communities is incredibly important, because that brings that importance of sustainable and long-term growth of the brand, but also retention. And we know the success of any loyalty program comes down to the level of retention and, of course, the acquisition of new members. And I think this nicely leads me to a very important trend that we're seeing in the loyalty space, and that is the shift towards more of an emotional loyalty, because loyalty and customer loyalty is very much a kind of evolving discourse, if you want. This is where those loyalty programs that are focusing predominantly on the transactional aspect, so this is where they use only points, for example, or discounts, or even vouchers, is no longer key. Layering on top of that unique experiences, bringing gamified offers, introducing personalized rewards. This is where all comes down to bringing and creating that emotional connection. It is important to highlight as a company, as a brand, whether you weave in as part of your strategies those purpose-driven focus areas, i.e., what is your stance on important social questions? Are you incorporating sustainability as part of your loyalty programs? Do you support local communities? And how you open the door for your members to participate as part of those programs, to support those different strategies, and ultimately creating and developing a loyalty program that functions as a power for good mission.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that for building these long-lasting, these loyal relationships with consumers, a lot of listening needs to be involved, right? A lot of understanding of consumers' emotions, about of their feelings, of a lot of inclusion of them in the decision making, and, well, most probably innovation and strategies. And this is really crucial in developing a loyal consumer base. And we are reiterating, as in our research, through different narratives, but I think we are getting to the same point every time. Do you know how brands can increase this emotional loyalty even further, how they can increase and sustain this emotional loyalty with different consumer types. We heard about wellness enthusiasts, but maybe Irina, you can add something.
I guess with happiness and kind of that spiritual importance of wellness becoming quite ingrained in those wellness pursuits, we did talk about that instilling emotional support would not just come in the form of specific benefit spaces like stress release, mood enhancement, sleep enhancement. These are sort of the attributes and some of those kind of sensorial experiences. But interestingly enough, also exploring digital integration and technology for emotive support. And we've heard a lot about digital therapeutics and how this is explored in providing that emotional support too, in particular with the women's health space, for example, where we see digital platforms, virtual care, providing symptomatic relief to certain things like postpartum depression, menopausal guidance. So it's also, interestingly enough, technology and digital could serve, to instill that emotional support too. And I would agree with Nadia. It's about an inclusive stance and really driving penetration and adoption of wellness. It would really also come by really looking to, address some of those disparities that exist, and those looking at underserved communities and consumer segments and underserved territories. So really projecting some of those social values too, that are targeting some of those underserved territories and disparities as well.
We do see, obviously, consumers are seeking more from their relationships with brands. An interesting thing that came out for me is the idea that they're seeking less tangible rewards in their loyalty experiences. So it's going to be an example of maybe a company helping them to solve a problem which is something they value, or somehow making that shopping experience easier. So in both of those cases, it's really about removing the friction of the shopping experience. Alongside that, they do like the idea of the surprise and delight type of experiences as well. I think the long and short of it is that it's really not about points and freebies, but some greater sort of connection. And of course, delivering upon all of this really does hinge on digitalization, as well as just the troves of data that companies are now collecting on consumers.
So actually that brings me to the third consumer type, which is connected shoppers. We see growing preferences towards experiences, both real world and digital ones. And that is actually, especially true in the case of connected shoppers. And to give you some context to this type, connected shoppers are those consumers who heavily rely on different digital and electronic devices, social media, and we use them widely for decision making. Those are the people who say would be lost without internet access, but at the same time, they also value these so-called offline traits and search for those offline traits for their online experiences. Isn't that true, Michelle?
Definitely. And we looked at this in our research. And one of the trends that came to life for us was this idea of intuitive e-commerce, which means you're making the digital experience feel more like what you would experience in a store in person. And in general, what's driving this is that consumers have greater expectations. Our consumer research shows that half of consumers, they want personalized products and services. 1/5 of them want personalized shopping experiences. But what's interesting is if you segment the internet connected population even further to this segmentation that Jana's speaking about, this connected shopper, it's even stronger. And that shouldn't necessarily come as a surprise because this connected shopper is the one that's really leaning in heavy to online channels where this tech integration is unfolding. The flip side of that is, brands, retailers, other companies are really under pressure to try to elevate that digital experience, to try to make it feel more like you would in person. Essentially, this means trying to evolve that channel from being more transactional in nature to instead more of a shopping feel to it. And this is possible due to the vast amounts of data that are being collected, as well as advancements in technology. And this includes AI, it includes IoT, AR, but really it's Gen AI that's taken center stage. One example that comes to mind is Zalando, who took this technology, they embedded it in their chatbot experience. And what it means is that a consumer can use more natural language when asking a question. So it might be, I have a wedding in wine country this fall. What type of dress would you recommend? Something like that would be more natural, like you might have with a clerk in a store.
That's actually, Michelle, quite interesting because it also resonates with what we're seeing in the loyalty space, and specifically the importance of hyper-personalization, because I think one of the most important aspects today is that one size fits all is no longer valuable and important when we talk about loyalty programs and how they're transforming. The impetus now is more about creating customer profiling, which very much incorporates the collection of big data. And this is where you're tracking the purchasing history, the browsing history, and the activities of the consumer, the social media interactions, to help inform the type of loyalty offers you're providing as part of the loyalty scheme. And of course, integrating hyper-personalization solutions across all the different channels and devices can allow those companies to build a stronger engagement more quickly, more efficiently. When we talk about hyper-personalization, the role of artificial intelligence is incredibly important alongside the machine learning. Of course, we recognize the fact that a lot of companies are still very much hesitant. They're testing the ground, how they can use artificial intelligence, whether it is just purely as a digital assistant or any other parts of the customer journey. It comes down to identifying different nuances of the customer preferences and dynamically adjusting your loyalty offers in real time. And I want to stress on that, real time. It is incredibly important because then that adapts to those changing preferences of the consumers. And that also means that the loyalty programs are becoming more relevant for their members. Another interesting and very important trend that we're seeing when we talk about the loyalty space is the growing role of partnerships. And of course, you might ask, well, partnerships have been here for a number of years. But I refer to partnerships that go beyond your immediate industry and category, that help expand your services, your offers. Through the different types of partnerships, you can drive the acquisition of new members. And I think one interesting example is, for instance, Delta Airlines. They have established a partnership with Starbucks, allowing their members to earn for every dollar that they spend, to earn air mile. And the third and final trend that I wanted to kind of mention is the growing importance of instant gratification or instant rewards. And this is where technology plays a critical role in driving the demand for the immediacy, especially for the consumers. The days of accumulating generic points for future redemption are very much fading away in my view. Consumers no longer have to endure these long waiting periods to see their statement balances at the end of the month. And the focus now is more about eliminating the friction entirely as part of this process. And the highly relevant rewards are very much delivered through, of course, the mobile apps at the point of sale, enhancing that seamless customer journey that I have mentioned earlier, and encouraging ultimately a higher customer spending as part of that whole process. One interesting example, I have been following the activity of Al-Futtaim Blue Rewards, and they have been transforming their mobile app and the offerings of their mobile apps, where they're allowing their members to earn points every time that they pay their bills. For me, this is an example of a company that is thinking about what is important for their customers, how they can participate and be part of the whole customer journey as a brand, facilitate that process, and encourage them to use their loyalty program more and more. And essentially, all these three components play an important role in adding more value as part of the product offering and the reward offering of the loyalty programs, which is so important of how you can stand out from the crowd and deliver a unique and exclusive offering altogether.
Now, I'm referring to the wider narrative of digital consumer trends, but also our consumers' narrative we have been developing for the past 3 years on affordability, value, and cost of living. And what was interesting, what we discovered in 2024, third year in a row in our research, was regardless of the consumer type and regardless of the segment respondents are belonging to, they still are very much concerned about rising everyday expenses and are still very much cautious about their spending, even though this inflationary environment it's kind of resides a bit. So how are connected shoppers using those digital tools, digital reality to navigate this period of economic uncertainty?
When we zero in on the more connected shopper, they are turning to those digital platforms and digital tools to try to root out the best deal. Some may have approval of brands, but increasingly consumers are using these platforms in ways that brands maybe did not intend, and maybe in ways that they just disapprove of outright. And the reason that we're really seeing this manifest digitally is this idea that, obviously the digital shopper tends to skew a bit younger, and those younger consumers tend to be a little bit more cash strapped. So they're turning to these digital channels. These are websites and platforms that they're comfortable using, and now they're figuring out ways how to manipulate them in order to save money when it comes to, wanting certain beauty or fashion products, that they go online in search of dupes. And if you're on social media, and this can range from TikTok to Facebook to Instagram, where you can see the communication or conversation among consumers. Hey, I saw this product, I saw this purse, I saw this lamp. Has anyone seen a dupe? And also, just using technology like Google Lens to even take a picture of it and have, that search done in order to surface products online that are cheaper as well.
So I guess social media becomes sort of economy of itself, right?
Yeah, so you really can't talk about connected shoppers without talking about social media. We're seeing consumers really flock to TikTok and its sister platform, Douyin, which is the Chinese version. So in this wider context where some social media platforms are struggling, we're seeing TikTok and Douyin really, bring in consumers. So if I recall some of our data back in 2020, about a quarter of internet connected consumers across the globe were on this platform. Now it's over 40%. So that's, a pretty huge jump in 3 to 4 years. And the reason why is that short form video content really resonates with especially younger consumers. They also introduced the idea of the endless scroll, and also have very advanced algorithms that serve up, the right product at the right time for you. So TikTok and Douyin really leaned in heavy on those features. And we see especially younger consumers turning to these platforms. And what's interesting is, although a lot of marketing campaigns on TikTok and Douyin are financed by brands, the ones that really go viral and gain a lot of attention and sell out products might emerge organically. You see that all the time. I think a couple things of late is cottage cheese being sold out, cucumbers. So these are recipes that have gone viral that have led to a shortage.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm so guilty. I have bought a flip phone from that, crow socks from that, and Korean corn dogs as well. I'm no Gen Z, but I'm striving to look younger, unfortunately. So anyway, thank you for diving deeper into this consumer segment with me. For the wrap up, I have this one big question for all of you. What is your ultimate advice to companies tackling these segments?
Yeah, when it comes to connected shoppers, I would say there's a lot of trends converging that are reshaping this consumer. And at the core, digitalization and data proliferation plays such a big role in doing so. As a result, a key theme that I've seen really unfold over the last few years is the power of authenticity to really connect with these consumers. So in this highly digitized world, data-driven world, and isolated world that we live in today, consumers really desire more meaningful connections that might be in their personal life. And when they're shopping, it's with brands and retailers and others that they get services from.
For me, every company should be kind of thinking about that transition from predominantly product-focused scheme to become more of a holistic, customer-centric model that is being incorporated as part of the loyalty program. So what I mean by that is you need to adopt a broader perspective on how to modernize, how to update your loyalty program with the customer at the heart of this transformation. Rather than just the product itself, you need to introduce more exclusive premium tiers to drive that exclusivity as part of the scheme, to support and enhance the services, to elevate, if you want, your proposition and drive more brand awareness, and embracing an emotional loyalty to drive that added value, to bring more balanced approach as part of your loyalty program is incredibly important. I would say within the social impact and into the program, as well as these experiential rewards that can become a critical factor for deepening the engagement and the retention of your members. But these experiences, they need to be exclusive, they need to be immersive, they need to be entertaining, unique, in order for your members to appreciate them more and to stay with you as a program and enjoy the perks long term.
And from my perspective, when we think wellness, I think what brands need to be conscious of to further that kind of penetration and adoption in a overly saturated market would really hinge on a balance of addressing accessibility, efficacy, credentials, and what Michelle talked about authenticity. We started this discussion by saying how discerning, how much more knowledgeable consumers are, and they're looking for that substantiation of results and science. Is it real, true science, or is it popular science? And a lot of what brands can do is also invest in educational empowerment and providing that education behind product credibility as well. From a precision health perspective, there's a lot more to be done in terms of integrating more kind of scientific approaches and medical expertise as well. So collaborating with medical kind of professionals across the whole product cycle, from concept inception to marketing engagement and to market. And in terms of injecting more medical expertise, this would come in the form of exploring new testing methods, microbiome, skin gut microbiome research, novel biomarkers, and novel diagnostics in achieving that optimal and precision health diagnostics and monitoring. And thirdly, from an inclusive standpoint, it is really about tackling the underserved, deepening that emotional relevance in the proposition, looking at more personalized approaches, because a lot of the concepts around self-optimization do require a very personalized approach. They do come, however, at very higher price points. So really, it is about ensuring that affordability and accessibility aspect to every proposition out there.
Thank you all for joining us today. We have explored 3 consumer types: wellness enthusiasts, connected shoppers, and brand champions. But there are 4 more consumer types to explore and find more opportunities for your brand. Thank you for your attention. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.